Welcome to the Superior Court for Maricopa County. I'm Michael Grant. There are more than 90 judges here at Superior Court, but do you know how they were appointed? It is a process called merit selection. It assures citizens and litigants the judges on the Superior Court bench are qualified, impartial, and independent. And as I'll explain shortly, you, the public, have a very important role in this process. Historically, judges in each county in Arizona were selected by popular election. But in 1974, Arizona voters amended the state's constitution to create a merit selection system in counties with a population greater than 250,000. Under it, people interested in becoming a judge have to submit a thorough and a lengthy application to the Maricopa County Commission on Trial Court Appointments. To qualify, applicants have to be at least 30 years old, admitted to practice law in and reside in the state for at least 5 years, and have lived in Maricopa County for the last year. 16 people sit on that trial court commission, 10 members of the public, 5 lawyers, 1 justice from the Arizona Supreme Court. To serve on the commission, the members of the public and lawyers have to be recommended to, investigated, and confirmed by the state's legislature. Whenever a judicial position becomes available, the commission studies the applications, checks each applicant's qualifications. As part of this process, the commission seeks input about the applicants from present and former judges, attorneys, and members of the public.
Former Judge Kleinschmidt called me and wanted to emphasize how impressed he was with this candidate's work as a law clerk.
She's a well-respected attorney.
You know, I think that she could easily make the transition from being a prosecutor to being a judge.
That's done to make sure whoever is appointed is truly qualified to hold the position. The commission meets at least twice during the selection process. The public is encouraged to attend each of those meetings. The commission asks for and listens to any comments from the public regarding an applicant's qualifications at the beginning of each meeting.
She has an excellent record as a prosecutor,
which I think would be great if he became a judge. I would encourage you to submit his name to the governor.
After that, the commission talks about each applicant.
There were 3 who caught my eye.
I think she's the real thing. I was a little disappointed that she didn't get to the interview stage last time because I was impressed with her in the last round of interviews.
Maybe she doesn't step up and do extra duty, but I was told that she had been on various committees drafting rules for family court.
In recent years, the commission has considered anywhere from 2 to 4 dozen applicants at any one time. Vote is then taken to decide the applicants it wants to personally meet and interview.
Ted Campanola.
11.
More investigation is done before those interviews. After the interviews, the commission decides who it will refer to the governor for appointment as judge. The requirement is that the commission send the governor the names of those applicants whom it decides are the most qualified. The governor then interviews each of the finalists and has the final say on whom to appoint. We interviewed several people to get their opinions on merit selection. Take a look at what they had to say.
If it were entirely up to me, I would use merit selection in all of our counties because I think it's a better method for selecting judges.
We have a good system, and many other states admire it and are trying to make changes in accord with the Arizona practices, which have been really excellent.
From a corporate perspective, what we really look for is equity, that is fairness in decision making, and predictability of results. They like to believe that when they go before a decision maker, the decision maker is neutral, unbiased, and is capable of rendering the most fair result possible. And merit selection, in my view, best accomplishes those aims.
You know, merit selection works because it makes sure that all of our judges belong on the bench. They are looked at carefully for their capabilities and experience as lawyers, their demeanor, how they're going to behave in a courtroom.
They're accountable to higher courts. They're accountable to the people involved in the system through judicial performance review, and they're accountable ultimately if they violate the conduct rules governing their conduct.
There are two major ways that we make sure that people once appointed actually do the job they're supposed to do. The first is through judicial performance reviews, in which judges are evaluated by the people who actually appear before them, and then the court publishes all of those results. As part of the merit selection system in Arizona, and to give the voters some direct voice in who sits on the bench, Arizona adopted retention elections. And what that means simply is that at the end of a judge's term, which comes every 4 years for trial court judges, every 6 years for appellate judges, the judge's name is on the ballot. And the question is, should this judge be retained in office? Yes or no? And the judge needs to get a majority vote in order to be retained in office. So if somebody in an election wants to know whether Judge X did a good job, he or she can go to the website of the courts and get all the information about the judge's performance. Then we have a method of making sure the judge acts as a judge should. And this is a separate constitutionally based body called the Judicial Conduct Commission. And the Judicial Conduct Commission is set up as a disciplinary body for judges. It's separate and independent from the courts. And its sole purpose is to make sure that judges follow the ethical standards that we have adopted for our judges. Any person can bring a complaint against a judge, and the commission then will investigate it. The judge can be disciplined, can be censured, the judge can be suspended from her position with or without pay, and in an extreme case, the Supreme Court actually could remove the judge from her judicial position. So this is another way that we have to make sure that judges are following the ethical standards that we impose on our judges.
If there is no public information that the judge has violated his or her duty or failed to live up to the public's expectations, and if the voter has taken the time to review the publicity pamphlet which contains the evaluation of the judge over a period of time, and there's nothing in that publicity pamphlet that suggests the judge has fallen below an acceptable standard, then the public should have every confidence in retaining that judge in office. Frankly, I think if we return to popular elections, it would be a nightmare. As I suggested earlier, the states which still have partisan popular elections for the judiciary, the spending on judicial elections doubled between 2000 and 2010 than in the preceding decade, and involved $200 million nationwide. Big companies and other special interests pour millions into these elections. So the election becomes like any other election. It devalues the importance of the judiciary because people are saying nasty things about each other. It obscures the purpose that judges are supposed to fulfill.
The citizens of Arizona should not want the problems of political fundraising to be imported into their judicial system. The citizens of Arizona should want and do want our judges to be chosen based on their qualities as lawyers.
You just can't have a fair and impartial system if you have cash in the courtrooms. That isn't how we operate, and it isn't how we should operate.
So if we, as a foreign company, a company outside the state, comes in and litigates against a company that is based in that state and has contributed to the campaign of that judge, there are concerns at least about the appearance of fairness.
If I have to go into a courtroom, or my son, or my daughter, or my business, what do I want in the judge who's going to preside over my case? What attributes should the judge have? And I actually think we would pretty much agree. I think we would say the judge should be learned in the law. The judge should surely be fair and impartial. The judge should treat people who come into the courtroom with respect. The judge should be committed to the rule of law, which is the basis of our democratic form of government. and the judge should be willing to run the courtroom efficiently so that the justice can move ahead. Those are the kinds of things I think we want for our judges. And merit selection does a really good job of finding people with those qualities.
Judges are there to do justice, to be as fair as they can on the basis of the particular facts and the law applicable to that case. And I think if voters understand that, they'll appreciate why merit selection is both so important and so worth preserving.
Yeah, so lots of factors go into a company's decision about where to locate the business. Financial concerns are obviously of primary importance. The quality of the local government, including the quality of the judiciary, is certainly a factor that comes into play. And I think we have no concerns about the quality of the judiciary or the quality of the justice that we get on a regular basis here.
Merit selection has produced for us in Arizona a really good bench. That is a great benefit to the people of this state. They can have confidence that the judges that they appear before, who make important decisions in their lives, are judges who are well qualified to make those decisions. They're not just people who have a lot of campaign money. They're not just people who have a name people recognize. These are people who have established that they are qualified to make these important decisions, and that benefits every single one of us.
The voters of Arizona in 1974 made a good choice, that it is a system that has served Arizona extremely well. We should be proud of it, and we should keep it in effect in our state. It's served us well. Or as the cowboys say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.